This is just wash, rinse, and repeat on these strings. They all go on exactly the same. There isn't anything different about any of them. Welcome back to 2 Minute Tech. I'm Rob Magargal with Taylor Guitars. What we're going to talk about today, we're just going to do a continuation. We're going to go into nylon string restringing. We've already talked about strings themselves. We've talked about the steel string, and now we're going to go into nylon string. It's quite a bit different than the steel string. There's no doubt, because we are tied at the bridge and we're somewhat tied at the tuner posts. So a little bit more to get into, but let's get started. Okay, first thing we have to do obviously is remove our strings. I like my power winder, of course, but as mentioned in previous episodes, the hand winder works just fine. We want to make sure we get these things completely loose because we have to untie them at the bridge. So we want to make sure we have enough slack to be able to take care of that. So let's see what I have here. We're pretty close. My high E can go a little bit more. There we go. I like this. Now, you can also help yourself out here. You could just cut these strings because we're not going to use them again. Pull out from the base one here, grab it, just untie it. And have that come right out. I'll do the same thing here for this one. And as you can see, there's just more to this than there is doing a steel string. But it isn't, obviously a mountain we can't climb because nylon strings have been around forever. If you get stuck like this one here, the pin is in there quite far, and we're going to talk about that when we put the strings in. Grab another tool and help yourself out here. Just lift it up, and then that's going to give you enough slack to be able to get in there and take care of that. So there we go. And like I said, to make it really easier on yourself, you could just cut it. All right? Now with these, what I suggest is this. Just unwind them using your winder. As you can see, there's a lot more work involved when we're talking a nylon string versus a steel string. But the nylon strings also last quite a bit longer, so you won't be doing this as often as you would on a steel string. Now, what's interesting about these is, like I said, we had to untie them, so we're going to tie them. When we tie them, as we come in through the bridge this way. You don't come this direction and it wraps over. It comes from here, all right? So we're inside, and what we want to do is when we wrap, I'm going to show you something. Our wind, so if I come this direction around this string and I wrap this underneath, my string is going to stick the wrong way, all right? We want the strings to wrap and follow the back of the bridge. So what I want to do is have it come this direction, okay? And I'm going to give it 2 winds is all, just 2. And what I want to do is hold that string to where it's just past the next string. And I want to pull that tight. Did you see how I did that? So now that's pulled tight, and that is now tied. It's basically like tying your shoes, honestly. Once again, we come into the top, okay? And we come around this side towards the A post. And we come up, give ourselves just a little bit of space here, maybe 2-3 fingers, and wrap the string around and towards the base tuning post, okay? Slowly start to wind them, and you want to make sure that you're winding every single time onto that post that you put across there. All right. The one thing you never want to do on a nylon string, do not cut these tag ends until you are completely done and you are fully tuned. Go to our next string. We're going to do the same thing now, but here's the trick here with this, and this is important because the last thing we want is on the tail end of this guitar is this wind here, this little piece tag end from the wind, touching the top of the guitar. If it touches the top of the guitar, it could actually cause a buzzing and you'll never find it. You'll think it's everything else except for what it is. So what we do is we lift that string up, we go to where the A is, and we let the A go underneath that tag end. Give it, 2 winds. That's all you're gonna need. It's basically a under over. And just to that next string as we did, and we pull it tight, just like that. Nice and clean. So what we're gonna have is when we're done, all of our tag ends are gonna be just lined up directly behind this bridge. We're gonna come right up, we're gonna follow the same process. Over the top, under, over the top, under, hold that, get it nice and tight. There we go, and that looks really clean. Happy with that. We're not going to cut these tag ends until we're completely tuned, but we can take care of these ones down here at the tail end. Be very careful here. We don't want to damage anything. Just pick the string up and trim it right at the end of the bridge. There we go. And that gives us this clean look right here. And once again, now the E string will not be sitting on top of the guitar, possibly causing a buzz. Now it's time to tune this thing. Now the nylon strings are much harder to tune. They're going to stretch a lot longer. When we stretch them, they're going to go down. We're going to have to tune them up. This may take a few times, but that's just part of the nylon string. Eventually, they do hold. One more time. I'm feeling very confident about how these strings are wound onto these posts. Nothing is slipping. It's doing its normal flattening on the treble strings, but I'm not hearing anything that is giving me any sign that something is wrong. Starting to hold tune. So at this time, if you wanted to trim these tag ends, you're totally free to trim them. The key, don't let them touch the sides of the headstock because just like the bridge, that can also cause a buzzing. So here, trim that one away. Come up and be careful, don't hit your guitar. They'll come from the other side. And I'll do the same thing on my G. And what we have here now is a completely restrung nylon string. Now I know this was much more difficult than a steel string, but as mentioned, you're only gonna have to do it once, maybe every couple of years with the nylon string. They usually last quite a bit longer. But let's recap on this, okay? We wanna make sure we loosen our strings completely loose so that we can untie them from the bridge and/or cut them so it makes it easier to untie them from the bridge. Remove them from the post using the winder. We feed the string from the sound hole area this way to the bridge, and it wraps around and it's over and under on the wrap so that they're coming along towards the treble side. You lift up each string prior to installing the next one, and that keeps your winds nice and clean across the guitar so they're not touching the top. And then when you get to that high E and you're done, you just want to trim it away. And remember, tune and stretch a few times, and you're going to be really happy with your nylon string if you follow these instructions. So hey, I'm Rob Magargal. This was the 2-Minute Tack, and we'll see you on the next one.